Hi, everyone. This is Brian with MEA and Friends, along with Elias Ventura. We are back with episode 12 of the Where Are They Now? The Industry Award finalists. So today we are going to get into a very unique situation, I think. But before we get there, how you been?
Good. How you been?
Busy,
That's good.
busy, busy.
Been busy on my side of the world too.
Yeah. Um, so I bought a new truck a while back, bought a 2024 Tundra, and been putting everything together to start putting my Escort radar Redline CI 360, whatever they call it.
So you're dusting off the install skills.
Dusting off the old install knees. Yeah. So gonna put that in. I got to put a dash camera in and remote start, and then working on a design for some kind of stereo upgrade because you know Toyota.
It's exciting. Exciting.
Yeah,
Just do some yoga before
yeah. Do some
installing.
stretches for like
Yep,
6 months before I start.
because it's been a while for you.
Yes, yes, it has. It's been a little while, but
Wow,
otherwise, yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting back to planning something for my own vehicle. We don't often get to do that for ourselves, so
that is true. Demo vehicles for personal vehicles are a different kind of rewarding.
yeah.
Customers love it when we deliver projects to them, but personal projects, I think, have a different kind of meaningfulness to them.
Right. Right. I think you're right. It just and even more so when you actually complete it.
Very,
Like when it's all when you look at it and go, okay, I'm done.
yep,
Because I know back in the day as an installer, I felt like it was never, never, ever, ever done. I always would start something, let's do this, or you'd learn a new trick and then you gotta like redo something or start over or whatever, or when you get into tuning your DSP and you're finally happy with how it sounds to just quit
very true.
tinkering. Yeah.
Well, speaking of customers and more of a switching gears to a retail mindset, our guest today is a former Retailer of the Year winner. So this individual knows a thing or two about demoing and customer expectations and that end delivery. So it's exciting to have a Retailer of the Year winner on today. And it's someone who some of us have gotten the pleasure to know, some of
Yeah.
us maybe not yet, but she is one of the friendliest, happiest, makes you kind of, warm up inside when you see her smile.
Right.
And also very knowledgeable. So I'm glad to have our 2020 Retailer of the Year winner, Miss Kimberly Trainer.
Miss Kimberly Trainer from Cartunes Inc. How are you today, ma'am?
I am fantastic. How about you guys?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm excited. I gotta say, I'm excited. One, because it's unique in our industry to have a female as an owner,
Yes,
much less in the industry at all on the retail side of things. It's rare, but to have an owner as a retailer and relatively new to like the involvement in the industry awards and MEA, and I know you've been a part of some of the meetings with different groups and stuff like that, and getting involved in presenting at MEA, which I think for any of us the first few times you do it, it's absolutely exciting.
Yes.
and nerve
So
wracking.
Yes.
I still
it
remember
is.
my first one.
It's interesting how you can talk to people all day long, right? And we've all done this as owners or salespeople or techs or whatever, or tech support. But face to face talking to people, you can do it all day long. And then you go stand in front of a group of people, which I think my first one was probably close to 80 or 100 people. My first presentation. Yeah, changes
Wow.
things. It changes things, right? And then you get into those a little bit more and more and more. And before long, it becomes nothing. But um, yeah, it's a little nerve wracking to be up there and have all eyes on you, I think.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me that much as long as I am comfortable with the subject matter. So if it's something I feel confident about, it's usually not a problem. Luckily, I had had some prior experience before I started with the Knowledge Fest presentations, and I had done some presentations for the Mesa Group and some other
Ah,
parts of our industry. And so
okay.
they were all very responsive, and so they were good experiences. So that
Yeah,
definitely helped.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
that's excellent. So that helps you a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, it's much easier to me. It could be a group of, a couple hundred people. That's easier sometimes than staring at a camera. And it's just you and the camera. It's not, you just sometimes can't get it out.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We've done that, doing online trainings and stuff like that.
Hmm.
In different ways. Or when I used to do my when I had Resonance Autocraft, we would do the live videos, and just that camera there, and you're just kind of, I mean, I know we were having conversations with people online, through, you would see the comments or whatever, or we'd be talking about whatever. But yeah, it's a little weird when you're just looking at your own reflection.
Yes. There's no way to bounce off the body language or, stuff
Hmm.
like that. So a lot of times you get in your head, and I think that's what trips us up. And I have a ton of bloopers that that I've made over the years.
Yeah, it's funny, Elias and I have a blooper reel that we're sitting on for one day. It's our
Yeah.
very, very first recording. It was just he and I. We just got on and we were talking about each other, and after we were done, we were like, man, there were so many mistakes, and he was like, yeah, hang on to it for one day, maybe
Oh yeah.
just it'll be fun to throw a blooper reel out there. Yeah, so one of
Yeah.
these days, maybe after we hit 20 or something, or 25, we'll call that our anniversary uh reel.
The funniest ones for me is that if I'm recording something, but it's me and someone else, and you both get in your heads and you can't get it out, and the next thing you know, you just laughing and laughing and you can't stop, and, and you just got to start over another day.
Right? Yeah. Or you get the awkward silence.
Yeah, the staring at each other, the awkward silence, just
Yeah.
like,
Is it me? Is it you? Whose turn
Right?
is it? Yeah.
say something.
Yes, 100%. So I'm going to start with um, this. So tell us about how you came to be in the industry, and then becoming an owner, and like what your role is currently in the industry.
So that is a question I get often, especially if someone doesn't know me. Not as often anymore. But so my current title obviously is the owner and sales professional here at
Okay.
Cartunes. So our business, Cartunes Incorporated, has been located at the same location in Greenville, Mississippi since 1984. So 40 years. This is our 40th anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
woo.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. But I wasn't here all of those years. I purchased the store in 2001. So
Okay.
23 years. And one of my favorite things to share, and I have in a few of the videos that I've made or presentations that I've done, I love to say, you know, these are things you probably shouldn't be doing in your store. And oh, by the way, that was my store. So, yeah. So, I love to have those before and after, really just to see that journey along the way. It makes just such a huge difference. But rolling it back a little bit. So in 2001, my history, most people in this industry came in because they like car stereos or they liked installing or they like cool cars or what have you. And of course, I did like all of the above, but my purpose for purchasing the store was more for a business investment because my background is in accounting. So I'm a numbers person.
Okay.
I just did a numbers presentation at Knowledge Fest this past weekend in Nashville, and then I did the one I prefer doing is with my son. I did one with my son on the showroom and the fab room. So it's literally something we live every day. But rolling it back again, background in numbers. And so that's kind of how I slid in. And then I've always loved music. I'm one of those people that I drive my husband nuts because every time a song comes on, I'm like, who sings that? Who did, just back and forth. And he's like, no, I don't care. But that's just always been me. So yeah, so I just love music. And so the store has evolved a whole lot. But as I started getting into the business side of things and meeting with all these manufacturers and finding out about all these cool products, and then we start installing them, and then just experiencing audio like our customers on a level I had never experienced it before. And it was just, I just kind of fell in love with everything. The creativity aspect of creating the systems is really interesting to me. I work a lot on the system design and things like that. So, and the technical, side of things. So it's just, I don't know. I absolutely love what I do. I've been doing this for 23 years, and I can still, on the way to work every day, I'm excited. Oh gosh, we got this today. We got this today, or whatever. So I just really love it. So coming in for a business reason and then turning it in kind of to a lifestyle. All of my kids have grown up here, and so it's just kind of become part of our family.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
Nice.
awesome.
yeah,
So
One of my favorite things as an owner, sorry, Elias, I cut you off. One of my favorite things when I was an owner was when we would find new products or new technology,
yes,
and getting to find applications to put that in something or apply it to something. Um, Man, I used to get so excited for that stuff every time.
yeah. My favorite thing is to always be the first one that has the newest thing. So I like to always have the newest thing, and then, like you said, once you can see it from start to finish, come
Mhm.
through, it's really exciting.
Yep.
I was just gonna say, so if we have like music trivia, we need to have you on our team, is what you're saying.
Yeah, one day well, who knows? You always say I'll be the one on the game show, right? I could win the million, and then you get on the game show, and the one that you don't know is probably the one they're going to put up there.
Right, right.
Name that tune.
Yes, I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So just a side question.
Yes.
So cartoons being a staple in town for that amount of time, I think that's strong. That's got to be one of the secret weapons as far as like, just being the shop in town, and anyone else that is in town as a air quote competitor, they
Mhm.
don't really stand a chance at that point. Like that's marketing like leverage right there. I love that. That's
Right.
awesome. That's a huge accomplishment. Congrats on
Thank you.
40 years. That's, man, I would be so excited to market that. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
that's huge.
We pretty much roll it into every single conversation when someone walks in the door,
That's awesome.
and a lot of it is just like you said, just so that they're like, oh gosh, they must, if they've been here that long, they've seen it all. Because that's the biggest thing with technology advancing so much. People think, oh, if I bring this in, they're not going to know what I'm talking about. And then when they see, yes, we know, we've seen it, we've done it, and then you can make them feel comfortable at the same time with that. It just puts people at ease. I honestly am fortunate. I don't have to do a lot of advertising, but it's because we really just try to take care of everybody when they come through the door. I mean, if you do it right the first time, you take care of them, you're friendly, it goes a long way. And they tell everybody we're really lucky. We get tons of referrals that way and don't have to just chase it that much. So, but we've worked hard, to get to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I think that also works in two other aspects. If you guys have been there 40 years,
Mhm.
you've got generational clients.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have, I mean, they would, especially if you're in a smaller town, right, or a smaller city,
Mhm.
you have generational clients where, the, the grandparents probably were shopping with you guys 40 years ago, and you may not have been there, but with the store. And the other side of that is it shows that you guys aren't going anywhere. new customers coming in, you tell them you've been here for 40 years, that builds a lot of confidence in just, well, if I shop today, they're probably going to be here in 3 or 5 years,
Right. Well, and it
10
goes
years.
a long way with people too, because again, that comfort zone, if we
Yeah.
say we're not going anywhere, we'll be here. If you need to
Hmm.
discuss it or what have you, we don't have to use those pressure
Right.
tactics to try to get, to get people to come back or what have you. One of my
Sure.
favorite things, and a lot of shops shy away from this, but I love to see the traditional, high school kids coming in the store, because we have the just most unique privilege of being their first experience with our industry. And so if we can get them excited, the generational thing you spoke about, I've seen that in these 23 years where I've had high school students come in, they would do layaways, whatever it took to get whatever they needed.
Hmm.
And then a few years later they come back and they're grown, they have their own jobs. A few years later they have kids. Next thing you know, their kids are driving, and
Hmm.
it's truly a generational thing. And
Yeah.
it's exciting. It makes me feel great to see people keep coming in, and just being able to recognize them. Everybody likes feeling a part of the family, like they belong somewhere. So yeah, it's
Absolutely.
that's big for us.
Yep.
I think that's a
Mhm.
lot of retailers need to be more aware to that. When I was in retail, the younger, teens, high school, college kids were always uh, a must, for me, primarily because I was that kid at one point.
Right.
And I went to so many shops and I would get looked at like, oh, he's just looking around. He's not going to buy anything. But legitimately, that's how I got started in the industry because I had this passion for car audio and I can relate to that. So it's actually full circle for me. Like when you share that, that was
Right.
me. I was that kid.
Well,
So that's
most people
awesome.
think kids, well, they don't have any money to spend, but the fact of the matter is they don't have any bills. So any money they do have, they're going to spend it on what they like, what they enjoy. And if you
Yeah.
can turn them into someone that, loves music and loves what we do, like you said, it's generational. They will never forget that. So a lot of people don't like that group in their store. I love it, and I spend more time with them than I do some of the others. But I think it's important to to give them that first. You never what do they say? You never get a second chance to make first impressions. So yeah,
100%.
But,
yeah,
Yep.
well, it was like, my first uh, sound system that I got. I remember I only had like $800 and I had to go
mhm,
back home and ask my parents for like 100 and change dollars. But that got my dad into the store and he got some, what was a
that's
home car and home store. So he ended up getting some like home theater stuff. So I see that as like,
it.
if you're bringing the parents in, that's another opportunity for a sale, you know? So that's awesome.
Yep.
So since 2001, you've been in the industry or was there
Yes.
previous, nope.
No, so I was a customer at this store,
Okay.
so I wouldn't count that as being part of the industry, but I had that enjoyment for the same type of thing. And when the conversation came up to purchase, the owner was not really interested, uh, but I guess he sat on it and thought on it because he called me back, and it worked
That's
out.
awesome.
Yeah, it
and the
worked
rest
out.
is and the rest is history.
It is history, which we've evolved now. I have pictures that I keep in my desk drawer, in the bottom drawer. Thankfully, I was smart enough to take these pictures because we didn't have camera phones like everyone takes a million pictures a day now. I had to have the old school camera, wasn't quite sure how they were going to turn out. But as I came through and I was doing things, I snapped some pictures of key parts. I don't really have one of the outside early, but I do have what was the showroom, the inventory, storage, stock room, office, all of that. And so I have like just a few little snaps of pictures here and there. And I love that because it just reminds me of where things started, and it makes me really appreciate, how far we've come.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So since starting in the industry, what was the journey into getting involved with the industry awards?
So early on, I think I was really laser focused on working on the store.
Sure.
So that if you saw those pictures, you'd know why. But I was really focused on that. I grew the offerings that we had in the store, obviously, and the environment and all of that. Plus, my kids were younger then, and so I was really focused on that. And then once I kind of was making that, that turn. Um, Attending trainings and things like Knowledge Fest, it really opened your eyes to what else is out there besides what you've been working on within your four walls. And so once I started experiencing that, I was like, yeah, heck yeah, I want to be a part of that.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so that's where we went from there.
So building, operationally and making sure, the four walls are performing to your expectations and then putting your name in the ring, basically.
Yes,
That's awesome.
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can say it was really a literally a journey like that because I didn't just try to, shoot straight in or whatever. I really took my time. But that's kind of my approach with everything. I'm one of those people that tries to plan stuff out. Doesn't always go according to plan, but I try.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So I have a question on that.
yes,
When did you first get into attending Knowledge Fest?
I would have to say probably back mm, less than 10 years ago. Probably maybe
So
8 or so.
okay,
Yeah.
so 8 years ago,
Mhm.
if you were to look at progress in your shop
Mm,
prior to 8 years ago, and then progress in your shop from 8 years forward,
right.
which has had the most significant change?
So I would say and have said going to Knowledge Fest transformed my business. And I think it's partly because of what's at Knowledge Fest, and then it's partly what you take home and then you connect with people like all of us after
Right.
the fact and you put it into practice. It's one thing to take it in, but it's something else to take it home and actually do it and put it into practice.
Yeah, I think, and I'm pretty sure Elias will agree with this. So I go all the way back to before Facebook with the 12 Volt Insider when it was an actual forum you logged into on the internet.
Right.
And that's where I met a lot of the guys that I have known in the industry, and I'm still very good friends with a lot of them.
Mhm.
But social media like Facebook and Instagram, I think, have pushed people in our industry forward faster than
Yeah.
any other possible way we have ever tried to grow. You know, car audio competition back in the 90s and late 80s when I was a kid, like that's in the 90s, IASCA and USEC drove innovation in our industry.
Mhm.
Like what you saw come out of the lanes ended up in stores as product, or it ended up in the bay as techniques that we use to build cars. And now we see all of that, all over the internet, you know.
Well, and I feel like our industry as a whole has become more welcoming to others in the industry. So
Mhm.
it's one of the things where you want to see each other succeed, and that's not common in most industries. In fact, when we were in Las Vegas this past February for the last awards and Knowledge Fest,
Mhm.
I was talking with this guy that we've done some projects and things like that together, and just basically, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And his wife was there and my husband was there and we're all talking. And she stops and looks at me and she says, I am so jealous of you and my husband and everyone else in your industry. The passion, the way you talk about the things you do, I want that. And when she said that, it's just like, it just hit me. We live it and we enjoy it, but other people don't have that. So we're really lucky.
Yeah, I
That's
think,
yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
yeah. We had a conversation with Jeff Cantrell recently, and he made the comment like it that part of our industry happens a lot because you don't have to be worried about trying to learn off the guy down the street from you. You can have a relationship with another business in your town and kind of push each other, but you're never going to get what's best for you from your direct competitor down the street. But by building these relationships with people around the country or around the world, you can learn. And, I know Dalton has, mentors in different parts of the industry. I've had them. I've tried to be one. Elias, same thing. We all have these people that we look up to or that look up to us, and they don't live anywhere near us.
Right.
So there's no fear in helping as many of those people as we can reach grow. And we all see it as we're helping our industry in some small way get better and better and better. And we've grown leaps and bounds in 10 years from what our capabilities were and what we were focused on as an industry to develop and become more what's the word, more efficient, more technology based, CNC and CAD and all of these things that they're staples nowadays, where
Right.
10 years ago you might have had 1/1000th of the industry touching that.
Well, and sometimes it's the little bitty things too. When you're just talking in passing and someone's talking about a project or something they just worked on, and you're like, wait a minute, what did you do? I never thought of doing it that way. That would
Mm-hmm.
save me so much time. And so
Mm-hmm.
installers especially are really good about that. But business owners too. I mean, if you network in the right circles and you just have that group that you can literally call, it could be anything, it could be HR question, it could be something about your showroom, your employees, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe something personal, maybe something about your family, or how you juggle
Yeah.
this or that, but it just connects the dots. I know I felt like probably like I was on my own for at least half of the career. I'd never had an experience with another business like mine. I felt like I was the only one out there, and figuring it out
Mm-hmm.
on your own. So I feel like if I had early on had the benefit that people have now, I think things could have progressed and grown even faster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many like resources and platforms, to help, whichever facet of the industry or whatever role you're in. There's,
Mm-hmm.
we have that now. Maybe 10 years ago we still had some, but not in the same, horsepower that we have it now. It's huge.
Yeah.
From Knowledge Fest to I'm sure Kimberly can relate to this, but to Mesa organization, like
Oh yeah.
so many different resource pools that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
Uh, it's it's great.
Yeah.
I don't think we had that maybe like 20 years ago. It was probably thin, but like definitely in the last 10, 15 years,
Mhm.
it's
It's
started
definitely
to,
grown.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely grown. And I
Yeah.
think that's huge. Um, it's one of those funny things that you said, like, we take in and are receptive to, like, technology changes or machine changes or, you know, operational changes. We embrace that as a community so well. Um, it's pretty cool. You know, like we think about it 20 years ago, the amount of shops that had CNC or lasers inside the shops, maybe like five,
Mhm.
Yeah. I was going to say the same number, maybe five.
you know,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it's
I think it's important too to see what other people are doing because, like you said, those five started, but how did the rest get on board? It gives you that goal.
Yeah.
You see, hey, this can be done. I want to do that, and then you formulate your plan and set your goal, and now the next thing you know, however many shops have the CNCs or whatever
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So I want to ask you, Kimberly,
Uh-huh.
with getting into the industry awards and winning in 2020 for Retailer
Mhm.
of the Year, and I know you've touched a little bit on this for you, but how has participating in the awards helped you grow personally and helped you develop goals and a direction for your store?
Well, I can say a lot of people on the outside looking in do not realize the time and dedication you have to really commit to fully participating in those words appropriately. And for me, every time that I do something like that, there's always something new that I learn. You think, oh, I've been doing this 23 years. What am I going to learn? But when you sit down and you have to explain your procedure to someone else in detail, how you do it on the daily, you start inspecting things and you're like, you know what? Why am I doing it that way? There's a better way. And you pretty much just become your own critic when you're doing these things. But when you realize the criteria and the level that you have to reach, it really makes you just want to get better every time you do it. You just want to keep trying and get better and better.
I think that is a great way to look at that. Especially for somebody who's been competing or trying to compete year after year after year, because every year the standard changes a little bit, right? So
Yes.
if you guys won in 2020, so now if you're trying to win again, if you want to try to make that jump again, for you to make that jump, you have to level up.
Hmm.
You can't be the same shop you were in 2020 and expect to win again in 2024 or
Exactly.
2025, right? It's the same for installers, sales pros, and for some it's hard to do that because as a sales pro, how do you I would never be a guy that would compete as a sales pro even when I was an owner, because I don't see myself knowing exactly how to make those steps to get better. But as an installer and a tech, I knew how to push myself to do and learn new things to go, oh, I can do that better. Oh, I see that I can do that better. Or as a business owner, trying to be more efficient overall to be more profitable or to gain more customers or whatever the
Right.
case may be. So I think being able to look at it like that, like you said, you're always evaluating,
Hmm.
every year you got to evaluate more than once. So
Well, and you have to
mm,
keep pushing out of the comfort zone
right.
because, there's all these things where like, man, that's too hard. It takes too much time, blah, blah, blah. And the whole way you're like, man, I don't know. I don't know. And then when you get through, you learn so much along the way and you're so glad that, that you did it. I've always had that identity of the business owner, right? I'm always
Yeah.
thinking, like you said, exactly. A couple of years ago, I specifically went into ways that we could get more efficient investing in different tools or technology because our staff was shrinking. Um, Workforce is harder to find qualified people, right? We're all facing that. So I was like, okay, let me minimize the pain as much as I can and try to, invest in those things, technology tools, whatever, that are going to make us more efficient. And so I've always had that mindset. And each year you do have to level up, right? So, luckily we've worked really hard and we won in 2020. Then we've stayed in the top 12 every year since then. And last year I was like you said, I need to get out of my comfort zone. And so I wanted a new challenge. And so yeah, so
As if running the store's not enough.
yeah, I learned a whole new thing because doing sales pro. Thankfully, I was just so grateful to be in the top 5 in the sales pros. But doing that was totally different because now the focus is on me. It's an identity. It's not a business. I'm not talking about how the business works, how the employees are, how the shop bay is, how the sales floor is. I'm not doing all these moving parts. It's like spotlight right here you
Goes
know
from we to I.
yeah, and it was totally different, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, it was really different, and I had to really change my lingo because I'm always talking about we and us and
Hmm.
cartoons and the business, and so I had to shift gears. And even though some of the information and some of the things I was doing were for the business, it was still the individual
Right.
thing, actual execution that I was doing. And so for me, it was exciting because that's kind of one of the things we celebrate in our store all the time. It doesn't matter if it's somebody new or, I remember the first sale I ever made. It's something about when you seal that deal, you can't
Mhm.
help but smile. And when you get to the back, you're like, yes, and you have to tell everybody. And
Absolutely.
I mean, we do it every day. If I'm in the office or if I'm out in the shop or wherever I am, whoever's closed the best deal comes in, and they're on cloud nine, and they got to tell everybody, and just kind of reenact the sale a little bit or whatever. So
Yeah.
that is a very exciting part of the process for me. And a lot of people think this is totally ridiculous, but one of my favorite days to work at the store is on Saturday, which makes no sense, right? Who wants to work on Saturday? But we do half days on Saturday around here. And on Saturday, as much as I love being the business owner and doing all these fun things, on Saturday, I get to be the salesperson on the sales floor. That's all I have to focus on.
Okay.
Not that I don't do sales during the week too. I do sales at that time, but on Saturday, I'm 100 focused on just that. I don't have to worry about running back and getting anything else done, and so I can enjoy that and really get to know the people that are coming in. And it's just that's an enjoyment for me, getting to know everybody, all the people that cross paths, and you wouldn't believe the different places people come from that would just walk through the doors.
Wow.
You wouldn't believe it. It's crazy. But you
Yeah.
would never know that if you didn't take, just a minute to ask them.
Right. Right.
Ask
I
them
do miss
questions.
that from the sales process.
Yeah.
I'll admit, that's kind of resonating to, retail days. And it's, once you get the first sale going, it's momentum for like the next one and the next one and the next one. So it gets you amped up, you
Yes.
know? So I can relate to that. It's kind of
Yeah.
like how Brian can relate to first install done, on to the next one, on to the next one, same thing, just different way to get
Set
there.
your mood for the day. Set your
Yep.
set your
Right.
your your energy for the day.
Right.
Or it could be
Yeah.
backwards, and you have that one difficult customer, the difficult car, and
Hmm.
we all know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. That can ruin your day sometimes. But yeah.
Mm. Well, every shop kind of interacts a little bit different too, and I've seen our shop interact differently over the years, depending on the staff or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, I guess that one of I like to be the problem solver too. So when I go out to the shop, I'm not like, "What are you doing? How blah blah blah." I'm more or less like, if they need like anything going on, I want to figure it out,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
Yeah,
I kind of like that little, mm, maybe some people call it nerdy, but kind of techie side of things.
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
It's like the "How can I help you?" mentality,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I took that from one of my good industry friends, Justin Val over at K40.
Oh yeah, no
He
justice.
call, "Is there anything else I can help you with today?" And I took that and I applied it personally to my staff, in a different way, but kind of the same way. Is there anything that you need from me today?
Right.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and those kind of experiences give you a different look on how you do things, but more so it allows you to be more connected with your employees or your coworkers,
For sure.
little things. But I learned that from Justin Val over at K40. Is there anything else I can help you with today? And that stuck with me ever since. And geez, it's been maybe 10 years plus at this point. So that's awesome.
Crazy how those little things, those little nuggets, right? That like at this point in our industry and our experience levels for most of us, when you go learn something, it's nothing big. It's all these little nuggets,
Oh yeah.
and it's two, three, six, 10 little different nuggets, and you find all these little things and you figure out how to put them in play. And sometimes you stack them together, or it's individual ones just to make one little thing work better for your shop or you. Or
Mhm.
hey guys, I learned this. Maybe you can apply this in the shop. And it's amazing how little things like that have such a big
Right.
effect over time.
Like one of my little things that I love sharing is how I used to ask for the sale with customers. I would always ask, would you like to go over scheduling options? What is scheduling going to do? Naturally, we know what it's going to do, but that was
Right.
my very smooth, silent way of saying, do you want it or not?
Yeah.
And they're
Well,
either gonna say, yeah, let's look at
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
or
As people change and society changes, the way you interact to get the sale is going to change.
Hmm.
right.
So there are ways to get, better and better.
Yeah.
And everybody forgets that step to ask for the sale.
Yep. It's important. You got to ask for it a handful of times
Yeah.
before it turns into a yes, you know?
Yep.
Something I learned along the way, and I wish I could recall exactly where it came from, but I learned whenever I get ready to go over the estimate with my client, instead of being at the counter, we have to do whatever in the computer and they're looking at you. I always walk around the counter and I get beside them. So there's just something physical about that. Instead of me talking at them or they don't know where to look or they're nervous, when I get beside them, it's like I'm on their side, I'm on their team. And that's kind of one of the things I like to do
That's
whenever I'm
awesome.
doing, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like to
It-
pretend like, hey, we're in this together. I'm on your side. So, they physically can kind of feel that change.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So I got to ask,
Mhm.
and this is something that I ask everyone, and Brian has kind of made this my question, but with your passion and your journey, and obviously you know everything that you've shared with us today, what are some words of encouragement for anyone who's looking to participate, or maybe used to participate, or maybe someone who feels like they shouldn't participate? What are some words of encouragement from you to them?
Probably my top, uh, top word of encouragement would be to um, think about what makes you unique. Think about how you are, who you are, and why you are who you are in our industry, because that's what's really going to make you shine. If we share all these ideas that we've been talking about that are all great things, but all we're doing is trying to copy what another shop is doing or what another salesperson is doing or whatever, we're always chasing something and we're just going to be a bunch of copycats, right? So, so to me, being unique really is what is interesting to people. And that's why I like to ask my clients when they come in questions, because they're all different and that's interesting to me. So I like to share interesting things about our shop and kind of embrace that uniqueness. So my suggestion would be whatever makes you unique. And I know a lot of shops, they're diversifying right now, right? They're doing mobile electronics, but they do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's different depending on what market you're in. And
Yeah.
so that's a great way to shine and show those different unique traits for your shop. So one of the things I probably don't share quite enough about our shop is, because we are just rooted in music. We don't do wheels and things like that that other shops do. And I mean, that's great. That's extremely profitable and that's awesome. But in our particular market, we're in the Mississippi Delta, and so we have musicians everywhere. Everybody plays something, and we have churches everywhere. We just, everybody is rooted in music, and so that's kind of our place to shine. And so we sell musical instruments here. We sell guitars, bass guitars, drums, keyboards. Mixers, microphones, and that is how we add into what we do with car. But it's a lot of fun, and the people that come in are so interesting. And why not? I mean, what we sell allows people to enjoy their music. So the people that are creating the music are obviously going to be interested in that, right? So that's something that we do that sets us apart. That's unique. So I would say to any other shop, embrace that and share that, because that's going to make you different and interesting.
So before Brian explodes from screaming inside, because you just something that he's very passionate about,
Yes.
to say, something that you said earlier, be your own critic, right?
Hmm.
And now we add what makes you unique. So for anyone wanting to participate, those two things that you shared with us, I think are strong, valid points. Be your own critic, through the process, and ask yourself what makes you unique. And I think those are, good, positive, words of, encouragement and reflection to anyone that wants to participate in our industry awards, because let's face it, this is kind of our I'm a sports guy. It's kind of our Super Bowl. It's kind of our,
Yes.
this is kind of our, our thing, right? So what better way to portray that than being your own critic and explaining to us why you're so unique? That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for that. And now I'm going to let Brian explode from his screaming. He just said all his favorite words.
Yeah, well, Kimberly and I talked on the phone yesterday, and she, was asking. She goes, "Did I see drums or something?" I'm like, "Yeah." When I was in Corpus, I had drums in my background, and she was telling me about that. So I kind of knew.
Okay.
I didn't grasp that you guys were actually selling instruments.
Yes.
I understood. I got you guys were doing pro audio stuff, but instruments, man.
Yes.
That's
And
something.
that was something that I really didn't know that much about. Even after doing car for a while, probably the past 15 years, we've done instruments and things, and it's totally just evolved. It's a daily thing, like
Yeah,
every day.
yeah.
And the cool thing about that is whoever plays a guitar, as far as the business aspect, they're coming back for more strings, more picks, more tuners, more straps,
This-
more chords, more
yeah,
whatever.
that is a
And
never-ending accessory
it
stream
is.
of revenue.
It is.
Hmm.
It's daily, and then the idea of of people bringing their children in. That's one of the most satisfying things. Like at Christmas, a lot of people buy musical instruments for their kids,
Hmm.
and it is so fun. In fact, my own daughter, my youngest daughter, when she was younger, she would beg me to we have keyboards, they're on the other side of the store there, but they're hanging on the wall, and she would beg me to put one on a stand, and she would sit there and she would play Christmas music, at Christmas time on the keyboards, just
That's
little bitty,
awesome.
things or whatever. Well, that evolved from her just thinking that would be fun or whatever, and eventually she got her own. She has a baby grand piano, and she's just super talented. I wish I could play like that. I can't. I wish maybe she'll teach me one day. I don't know. But yeah, it's such a great way for children, especially, just to express themselves. I had a customer in the other day, and he for Christmas, he and his son had come in, and he bought him an electric guitar. And I thought, wow, this is great. I just love those moments. Well, they came back a while ago, and he wanted to show me a video of his son. His son played that electric guitar in front of his whole school, at the
Nice.
Christmas assembly or whatever. And it just touched me. I thought, wow, that's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny because Elias's coworker Tommy, his son plays guitar, and I've actually sold him a guitar, and I've helped him with a guitar that they picked up a old, I forget what it was, but he's got one that they're rebuilding and kind of bringing back to a playable state. But getting to watch him hit, Tommy will send me videos of them playing or him playing at the school or whatever, and uh getting to see other people that you've helped along the way. I sold him a Les Paul, a Epiphone Les Paul that I had bought years ago, and he was playing like a Squire Strat or something, I don't remember, and he wanted this Les Paul, and so I was getting rid of it anyway, and I was like, well, here, take it, here's the deal, I'll make you on it. And so they bought it, and he almost instantly, Tommy was like, yeah, my son's like the coolest kid in his friends group now because he's got a Les Paul. It's cool. It's
Yeah.
fun to
Very
see,
cool.
and to see that kind of stuff inspire that kid to go on,
Yep.
and get better and better and
Yeah.
better.
And I mean, it intertwines because as they get older, they now have this rooted in them. So once they start
Mhm,
driving or they get their
mhm.
first job or whatever, they're coming back here to,
Yeah,
outfit their vehicle or whatever. So again, it's the generation thing, and yeah, it all
yeah.
connects. Everything we do is music related, and so that makes my job a happy place and a
Right.
fun place to be.
I've told several people, our job as when it comes to car audio, the car audio side of our industry, um, most people have some kind of connection to music. There's a song that brings them back to a certain time in their life or a place in their life, happy, sad, whatever, but they all have a connection to music somehow. And our job is to reinforce that connection. So when we get to build that system that as soon as it comes on, they instantly are like, that face that they make, whether it's, just a smile and they're just, groove into the music that they're
Mhm.
playing that they love or whatever, however they react, it reinforces it instantly, and
It's an emotional response for
it's an
sure.
emotional
Yeah.
response. But we've all seen this. We've seen somebody reconnect with a song. I can't tell you how many times I know I've been told, Elias has been told, I'm sure you guys have been told, oh, I didn't hear that in a song before. I
Right.
didn't know that was there because you've presented that song with more detail and clarity, or just the bass impact and just the feeling in your car that it gives you that reinforces that. And now that song is the song that goes to 11 as soon as it comes on every time. It's so much fun to see that stuff.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories, I did a car for a guy when I lived in Albuquerque, and he picked his car up at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were getting ready to close up. It was a little after 6, and the guy calls me and he's like, hey, so sitting in my driveway at home. And I'm like, uh-oh. Like, you get that phone call, and that's the way he starts it. And immediately I'm like, what do we do? What happened? I'm waiting for him to tell me that like some kind of light came on or
Mhm.
something quit working or whatever. And he goes, so my wife's pissed. And I'm like, oh. He
Another
goes,
layer.
Now you got to deal with the wife.
right, yeah, here's a new fire, right? And I'm like, and he goes, well, I was like, well, why? And he goes, well, I've been home. So he says, I left your place at like 3:15. I've been home for like 2.5, 3 hours. I'm still sitting in the driveway, and she keeps texting me, are you coming in the effing house, or what are you gonna do? And he's like, I'm just sitting here going through my playlist on my iPod, you know, picking songs and
That's
just,
cool.
and he's like, I don't want to get out of the car. She can hear it inside, but I don't want to get out of the car. She's mad because I won't come in the house. He's like, I missed dinner. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll take that.
That's cool.
So my
Very.
response to him was like, well, send her on down tomorrow and we'll have her parked in the driveway for 3 or 4 hours, in a week or so.
Yeah.
That's right. One of the presentations I gave, it was a couple years ago, but it was exactly about that, about evoking that emotional response in your store. And I think I used like examples of the five senses and
Mhm,
how that can relate to what you do in your store.
mhm,
Whether it has to do with the sense of smell, because that's anybody that knows me, that's one of my pet peeves. Your store has got to smell good.
mhm.
If it doesn't, you're not uh, they're not going to want to stay very long. So,
Right.
but yeah, the five senses, and you'd be surprised if you can appeal to all five of those senses. They want to stay, they want to spend
Mhm.
some time, and they're going to want whatever it is you're selling, because they want that. They want that emotional connection like that.
Absolutely.
That's very true.
Absolutely.
That's very true.
Well, Kimberly, I want to say thank you so much for just coming on
Yeah,
with us.
yeah,
We're gonna have to do another one with you at some point because you've been a top 5 sales pro, and we have this rule for our show that Elias and I put together is that you've got to be 2 years or more out from your whatever award you were running for. So if you made top
okay,
5 sales pro in 2023, then 2025 we can have you on for that. Like that's just the way
okay.
we do it so that we don't have anybody too close. But the great thing about this event and the categories is we have what could potentially be a never ending supply of um, content.
And
So
we've gathered so many different years. I mean, we had
mhm.
Jeff Smith, we had Chuck Hamley, we've had, I mean, so many different, you know,
Yeah,
top line, pinpoints that it's been great to get different perspectives. And we definitely appreciate you coming on. And it was something that Brian and I had spoken about early of getting you on. And
hmm
we thank you for coming on and having some industry talk with us and some positive words
Yeah.
of encouragement for everybody watching. So this is awesome.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you guys invited me, that you thought of me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your accounting background puts you in my head for and I think Elias and I have actually already talked about you for another idea that we have for another type of podcast that will be more of a
Owners,
educational, education,
educational, yep.
kind of thing that we want to work on. So I'm sure we'll be in touch with you for that as well. Obviously we need to
Well,
talk to.
the obvious one thing I can say about that quickly is that without the numbers being right in your business, or without the sales pros being able to sell the equipment appropriately, the installer never gets to do the cool stuff he wants to do. So
Right.
those are all connected parts, and
Yeah.
the numbers are something nobody likes to talk about in our industry.
Right.
There's everybody wants to look at the cool new fab machine, right?
Right.
I enjoy that too. I mean, I do. I love
We
that
all
stuff.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
if you're
you
an
have to
owner
have the
getting to spend the
numbers.
money on that,
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you something about your business, right? You're in a position, at least most of us, you'd be in a position to afford it rather than trying to afford it, figuring
Right.
out a way to afford it.
Correct.
So, yeah. But yeah, we've got some ideas for something else that we're coming along with. So,
Well,
we'll
that's
be talking about
exciting
that.
because so many people just don't address that. And I think that that's part of our industry, that sometimes if with some light focused on it, you can just see those light bulbs and those aha
Mhm.
moments and ways for people to achieve more, and to set those goals and actually achieve them if they
Right.
know how to make the other stuff happen first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
100%.
sure. For sure. For sure. All right. Well, thank you again so much for
Mhm.
joining us. And we look forward to talking to you. And I know we're going to talk to Dalton probably in the next couple of months,
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
and kind of just
Well,
work our
you're gonna
way.
love talking to Dalton because he
Oh, I
literally,
know.
when I say lives it, this is the only job he's ever had. He's grown up
Right.
here, so it's
Yeah.
literally, it is part of his life. So you're gonna enjoy that one.
Yeah. Well, I had the advantage of having my son work in my shop with me, even when he was like 10 or 11 years old.
Yep.
Getting on routers and getting on fab stuff. And Elias knows he's heard my story a bunch of times, and
And I used
he's
to watch it on your Facebook Lives.
yeah, we used to do Facebook lives together and
That's
stuff.
cool.
So yeah, it's family businesses like that where you get to see somebody grow up in it, and as a parent watching them grow up in it and develop that work ethic, man, that's just cool stuff. So yeah, kind of looking forward to when we're able to fit him into the episodes and uh have a conversation with him about his side of the bay there for you.
Yep.
Yeah. It's fun. The family dynamic is, well, the last presentation we gave together, that half of the questions were about the family dynamic. Some of them were about the presentation, but the other
Right.
half were like that, about working with family. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole episode in itself for
So,
sure.
yes.
Absolutely. That might be another one, Elias, down the road is a family dynamic episode. Have like groups on like that. That could be fun.
That would be
All
fun.
right. Well, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you again, Kimberly. We will talk to you soon.
Okay,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot
I
of
liked
information
that.
there too.
Yeah.
A lot of
She
good.
she has a lot of perspective that she looks at things just differently.
Yeah, a lot of real
Dig it.
world
Mhm.
insight there. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
I think you froze there for a second, but I'm just going to say there was a lot of good information there. So definitely for everyone watching, hopefully you can take it and apply it in the same way that we all strive to do, whether
yeah.
it's through Knowledge Fest or through our podcast or through networking at events.
Reaching out to people like Kimberly for help,
Yep.
you know.
And that's the beauty of our industry. We're all connected, even though we can be miles apart.
Mm-hmm.
We are all instantly obtainable through, what we have today as modern technology of, social media and, being able to instantly connect with someone, even if they are a couple hundred miles away or a couple thousand miles away.
Right. Yeah. It's absolutely so much fun. Elias, episode 12 in the books.
Well,
All right, man. Well, we will talk to you very soon. And I know we got some more guests that are lined up that are going to be a lot of fun. So
hopefully everyone's enjoying them because we are. So
absolutely. I hope they are. Look forward to recording another one sooner than later.
awesome. Well, we'll catch you on the next one, and we'll see everyone soon.
All right. You guys have a good one. Thank you for joining us.